So we are going to start off today with a presentation on designing for student engagement. This is a facilitated conversation, so please feel free to participate in the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and start my screen share. All right, and welcome everybody. Hi, Andre. Hi, Wayne. How are y'all doing?
Doing well, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning. Good morning, Laura. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start. So one of the things that I wanted to open up with is what we're doing to engage students with the portal. And this is kind of something that I wanted to talk amongst everyone to get a little feel for what y'all have been doing. So for example, with the pandemic that happened, did that force you to make any changes to increase the engagement with students off campus? In some ways, maybe there were things that were found where, we don't have a digital way of doing this particular task. Did people come and say, hey, we need to get this out in the portal? Did you need to do some sort of attendance pulse on campus to figure out who was on campus, who was off campus, and blend more of some hybrid learning with the portal? So with that in mind, I'd like to start asking the room what you did. So would you like to go?
I can start. I think ours would be pretty quick. So as far as people asking specifically to do something in the portal, I don't remember that necessarily occurring. There were things that, since we're also linked with the student information system, that we were asked to develop pretty quickly. There were a couple of forms that used to be paper forms, specifically like the medical absence one, since those were kind of COVID related, that had to be put online. And we also, since we probably like a lot of campuses, we did everything remote for the students for courses. And so there was also a new form where students could indicate, as we were transitioning back and we were in a hybrid mode, they could indicate whether or not they would continue remote or be on campus. So I remember those two came up, and we did deliver those through the portal, but there wasn't a specific ask to do so.
Okay. So what about Gina? What about y'all?
Yeah, it was a more of not student asking, but more of student affairs or the academic affairs registrars office. They are requesting for the effective communication because everything is online. So how do we use the notification mechanism on the student portal to engage students? So they would be, some of them it's a vaccination policy, what to do for the medical leave. And another one, one interesting item was from the student affairs about the campus activity. During the pandemic time, all the activity has converted into online, virtual activity, including the clubs. And the students were not aware of it. So they reached out to us saying that how do we engage students virtually, that there still is events going on. Last item was all the help resources that we provided on campus were available virtually. And rather than student trying to find out, oh, how do I find the tutoring services? How do I find healthcare services? We built a page within the MyCPP dedicated for student virtual resource. How do I talk to the advisor online? How do I make a Zoom session with it? So those were all taken care through portal.
Okay. And so I don't know if Wayne or you or Andre, if y'all have anything to add in this event.
I can add. It's Andre P. From CUNY, Brooklyn College, from New York. So in terms of some new online services being added to our portal, I cannot recall like, specifically if we did something new. I mean, we did modify a lot of our services, like many appointment systems to simply start using Zoom links and phone appointments rather than in person. But in terms of uPortal itself, I mean, in our, like, I wouldn't say universe, in our world, portal is just one of the tools that students use, and they don't have to use that tool. But during the pandemic, what we noticed, some of the communication things that were kind of coded in our uPortal, people who've been using them before the pandemic, the usage during the pandemic, the first year especially, jumped literally like 300%. So it became a very, because of some of the services being provided in the portal already, I mean, it became simply invaluable tool in terms of communicating between faculty and faculty to students, so to say. So in that regard, we really saw the like explosion of the usage, like for several reasons. And yeah, that's pretty much was the biggest benefit of what we had. And of course, I mean, we did a bunch of minor adjustments and to everything. But again, having uPortal as a platform very much simplified what we had to do. Addressing the proper audience. Yeah, again, putting up notifications and aggregating output from different systems into like convenient feeds that are available through uPortal. So again, we did minor adjustments, but to the people who are using it, it became a very nice, very useful way of like staying connected.
Okay. And Wayne, do you have anything on your?
So for UCR, there are just a couple of minor things. We added a lot of COVID-specific messaging to the app, and there were various custom COVID-related applications that were developed, for example, wellness surveys and so on. So we added those links to the portal as well. So I think users were pretty well engaged anyway. It just provided a convenient central location for so that they could access all of these things.
Good. Okay. And I don't know if anyone here, as a way to engage students, does anyone utilize any AI delivery, whether that's, marketing, any programs or degrees, or maybe they have a chat bots, something for interacting with students?
I do.
You
We
do?
do. I mean, our campus do.
Uh-huh.
So we have a Oscilla chat. That's a chatbot, and we have. Oh gosh, is that Billy chat? That's a text message, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have two different chat system. One is a Billy chat that was delivered on the mobile phone, and then another one is called the Oscilla chat that is provided on the a financial aid, a registrar, and an admission. Don't ask me why we have two, but we have two. And it worked out pretty nicely. So the Oscilla chat, the one on the desktop, it worked out pretty nice because that company, the initial way that they launched was focused on the financial aid.
Mhm.
As a financial aid, it evolves each year. They were able to come up with a preset of questions that students and parents like, what are some of the common questions? And so we didn't have to think about what we should provide, we didn't have to come up with a question. We just provide a Cal Poly way of, this is how it works in Cal Poly to receive some of the things. So that's how we started. And how it is linked to Portal, uPortal, no, but that's AI delivered. So
Okay. Anyone else?
I guess we're kind of similar. We didn't use the Ocelot one, but we have Ivy. Ivy
Mhm.
creates a bot. I don't know how much AI is really behind it, because I'm one of the, I guess there's 5 or 6 people who manage the answer to response, question response database, if you want to call it. So we do have that. It's very similar. We didn't start it on the portal. In fact, we haven't actually deployed the portal version of it to production yet. It's still kind of in a testing location. And the difference between the one that will be on the portal and the one is that has been live through the Office of Registrar of Financial Aid and all of those is that theirs are generic public answer questions. So if someone says, how do I register or what are my courses, it will take them to the banner registration screen or something to that effect, right?
Okay.
Whereas the one that we're working on that will show up on the uPortal, on the portal site, will be connected to all of that knowledge base and will also be tied into the SIS and be authentication aware. So if the student says, what are my courses, it will literally return them their scheduled courses for that term. And if they ask for what's my GPA or what do I owe, it will go and fetch that tuition and fee balance, that information. Again, not really necessarily AI, but it is a chatbot type service.
Okay. Andre or Wayne, do y'all have anything to add?
Yeah, Laura, I'll add a couple of words. Well, in Brooklyn College, or I'm now at City College, I don't think we have any AI or any chatbots or something like this. However, by interacting with our peers at different CUNY schools, we learned that I think at least one of them deployed a chatbot that came that kind of proved to be very helpful. And with I forgot what is the campus, but it's not relevant. I know they did some research. They reached out to students, and some faculty were involved in assessing the benefits and why chatbot is so popular. And they came to the conclusion that this generation of students is so kind of technology savvy at one point, but at the same time at the expense of interpersonal communication. So sometimes they're more comfortable to talk to screen to chatbot rather than reach out to specific advisor or faculty member. So that's definitely an area that probably colleges will be investing money in, knowing the current trends in general. Again, not COVID related or caused by pandemic, but it's more like a deeper reason for that.
I see. Wayne, do you have anything?
Yeah, we really haven't done anything related to artificial intelligence. There's some basic chatbots, but there's nothing particularly complex about those.
One thing to add using the AI is that we think it's auto-generated, but the maintenance is the biggest challenge and the key. Because let me go back to the financial aid example. Financial aid process changes every year because of it's a government money, and they change the rule, we have to follow. And there has to be somebody who's updating the answer. And they think a lot of times working with a staff who already has a full-time job, let's say, advisor. And they said, okay, here's one cool project that you can do. So that person dedicates his time or his or her time updating all the answer, do the initial input. They think it's done when it's not. So the chatbot, we are fortunate that we have a one responsible person, she is really dedicated to update the information. But a lot of cases, what chatbot is saying or providing the answer, they are different from the real answer. So that's one of the challenge, and then one of the point when you're starting on the utilizing the AI maintenance, is there a dedicated person who can maintain and update the answer? So that's keep in mind on that one.
Okay.
I think our solution to that was we have what is called it's called the Aggie One Stop. It's basically a one-stop point for students to go to, and they funnel questions with whether the student ends. They try to help the student as much as possible, and if they can't answer it in its financial aid, then they would send them to the financial aid office or registrar or bursars, etc. It is also that same group. They have a dedicated group that also maintains the knowledge base that drives the Ivy bot. So that's how they keep it. And they work closely with, again, those home departments to make sure the data is accurate going forward.
Yeah. So another question here is, what are students asking for the most, if anything? I mean, there's some focus areas, maybe students are asking for more convenience, whether, there are any issues with, hunting for services around campus, maybe there's some opportunities where, we can present students, what some of these administrative tasks or available, services on campus, making them more convenient to access. Maybe students are asking for more reminders, or maybe they're asking, for, improved, notifications. Or, maybe there's areas where students are asking for more dashboards, more customizations, easy access to things where they don't have to dig around or just be presented with links. So in this group, is there areas that you hear of most that students are looking for?
I will start. So I'm going to tweak your question a little bit because they don't usually ask. They share their frustration with us. So in that sense, what are they frustrated about? Okay, and then so I'm just saying in general senses, I'm going to say, okay, because we are heavy commuter school, they are frustrated when they can't find a parking lot. Okay, so but here's the thing, we don't have a parking lot for 20,000 students, for one thing. Number two, they are frustrated with when they cannot register for classes because and then number three, some applicants, they get frustrated when they cannot get accepted, even though they qualify because we have impacted major that we are already maxed out, like computer science. So those are some of the frustration point. Number four, on financial aid, they are not getting the amount that they receive, and then having hard time so the question is, and then when they are in that frustrating moment, then technology is not working, they need to find a venting place, which usually go down to the support desk. So saying that, well, I couldn't register this class because my CPP was down. So so everything is linked. And the staff is coming to us and with a different issue. Hey, these are some of the notification. We like to deliver the information to the students, but a lot of times it does not align with the students' need. So I know I didn't answer the question. So if we ask students, hey, how you doing? Well, for the good students, they say, oh yeah, the program's working pretty fine. But if we are asking another set of students who are already frustrated, everything is like their rating is, well, I'm not happy because the Starbucks does not taste the same every day.
Yeah.
We cannot use the digital ID. We like to use the digital, there has to be a digital ID card to process the payment on the campus, which we don't have. It's really hard to talk to an advisor. I need a counseling service, but we cannot get any. So we need to have a good balance that the technology, at least for those regular processes that it's out of our control, how can we make it more seamless? So one of the good things, I mean, I did not use my CPP for that. I use CPP mobile, is that, okay, we have a parking issue. How can we send a notification, at least a notification, we don't have any parking lot available. So students, they don't have to waste their time going around the campus. So that's number one. Number two is how do we send out important events and a reminder? Okay, so they don't miss registering by not paying the so let's say they don't pay the tuition, and then that will impact their class registration. How do we send an effective notification saying, hey, here's a red alert for you. If you don't register your class by end of tonight, I mean, if you don't pay your bill by end of tonight, you don't get to register your class. How do we deliver that instead of sending 5 different emails? Okay, what technology can we use to avoid one of the item? It's very popular one. If they don't pay the library fee, if there's some amount of the library fee, they cannot register for class. So the focus area, so that has been our area. And then we did some usability tests, and we realized the portal, I'm going to go back to the portal, saying that students are looking for their personalized information rather than general advertisement.
Right.
So that's yeah.
Yeah. So that's the direction that now y'all are taking, is doing more interfaces with their customized content.
Correct.
Anybody else have areas that y'all feel like either need more improvement or y'all are going into another direction?
Your 3 bullets kind of do summarize the biggest ones. The only thing is we did do a survey recently, and it was kind of a very broad, very generic kind of survey. And interestingly enough, I don't know if it just illustrates the interface and the UI we've had, which hasn't changed significantly in at least probably a decade. The single biggest request was very generically modernize it without really explaining what that means. So if you're asking for a focus area, I guess then modernization, but then what does that really mean? And we got, I think, over 10,000 responses. So, and a significant number of them were saying modernize. So what does that mean? Fewer links, more personalization? What does that really mean? We don't necessarily know yet.
Right.
And we do have some committees that are ramping up to try to define that better. That would be probably the only other item.
Okay.
I guess we would have.
Now, and y'all have, if I'm not mistaken, y'all have looked at, was it Ellucian experience? I mean, would you say that that is what is deemed quote unquote modern? That you think that maybe that's what students are looking towards as far as the design?
I guess at this point it branches out to my own personal opinion, because I can't obviously speak for the 10,000 students who responded. From what I've seen from, I'm not just to single out Ellucian, but many of the higher education portals that are out there, right? Is that I don't know if students are aware of that, and if I would call that, again, personally more modern. It's kind of like a reskinned version of what we already have.
Okay.
My best guess is that students are doing what we do, and they're looking at the Googles and the Apples and the Microsofts, and they're seeing what their interfaces look like and what they're producing. And how do we keep up with that? So there's a huge social aspect to all of those platforms, right?
Okay.
There's a directed communication, a directed element. And probably the single part that I think that would be most difficult for higher ed is a lot of those other platforms are very narrow focused. So they can create these clean, streamlined, easy to find information in these containerized applications. Whereas when higher, and so I think students are looking for that quick, easy access to what they want when they want it. But in a higher ed market, we've got a plethora of information and data that even changes, what they want at the start of term when they're looking for their courses and their schedule or registration is different from what they're looking at the end of term when they want to order transcripts and see their grades, right? So
Yeah.
we have time-based, it's much more complex, but I think that's what they're looking for. They're comparing us to all the other IT applications they probably see out in the wild.
Right. Okay. Andre, Wayne, do y'all have anything to add?
No, nothing comes to mind. There's no grand consensus about things that students would want to see added, as far as I'm aware.
Okay. Now has anyone felt that with the increase of maybe cloud services around campus that has triggered, to focus on trying to wrangle all those up together to help with the convenience of accessing those? Or is that nothing, no impact?
Yeah, I'm over here shaking my head, so I guess people online can't see that. I don't really see the move to a cloud really having a significant impact. I mean, I think what kind of addresses that is basically any kind of single sign-on, single username, really
Right.
good identity management infrastructures, which depending on your school or location, there's a mixture out there, a patchwork. But as long as there's a fairly decent single sign-on infrastructure, then I don't see whether it's cloud or on-prem or some hybrid, I don't really see that having a significant impact.
Okay.
In the backend sense, the cloud, our, well, our environment, uPortal, it's on the cloud, the AWS. So in the backend, probably made a significant difference, but from the front end, student, I mean, they don't really see it. And then as long as it's working, it is fine. Yeah. But
Good.
probably single sign-on, that was the most effective one that students were able to realize that, oh, yeah, it is more seamless, so they could just log in once.
Okay. Okay. So next is, what should we be doing as far as the portal to increase student engagement? And whether that be, tomorrow, I believe it's tomorrow when we start discussing our roadmap with uPortal. These are something that we can maybe start thinking about on how to improve student engagement. What are some design strategies that not only your campus personally should look into, but I mean, what should uPortal, what should, we be adding in to increase that? Maybe that could include adding maybe a suite of student advising dashboards. Maybe there's an opportunity to put in some, new student onboarding opportunities. There's always like a huge checklist of items, during the admissions process of, everything that they need to have, in order to start, whether that is, answering questions for, housing or, maybe there's more interactivity that, we should start looking towards when we're looking at some roadmap items for uPortal. So with that, what do y'all think? Is there anything that y'all can think of that could be added in uPortal to help with this?
I can start. I'm kind of looking from the admin perspective, and I need a little bit more flexibility in the admin panel. Because let's say I found a spell error on one of my portlet or web component. I'm looking at you, Michael, like which one is this? So one of the portlet. Let's say there is a spell error. I have to go talk to Kevin. Kevin, there's a spell error. I'm really sorry. Can you fix it? And then let's say Kevin did not fix it for like next 5 minutes. Kevin, I really need this fix, but I want to be able to fix it. Another one is the different layer of the admin. I need a content person. I have an engagement with a student advisor center, and then she is heavily involved in giving me a feedback. But whenever she gives me a feedback, I said, okay, let me take this to Kevin, and then waiting for Kevin to do it. I need I would say like super user who can so her name is Zoe, and then she can change it without worrying about, oh, am I gonna mess things up on the back end? So she can have a and then one of the requests is that advisor, financial aid advisor, registrar advisor, they need to see what students are seeing. Right now, I am able to impersonalize as one of the students, but without having that super admin power, I need the advisor role who can impersonate student, so they can see, okay, let me troubleshoot what you are seeing, and then, oh, okay, now I see the problem. So if that can be incorporated into the admin, and then one last thing, I mean, my well, I can dream anything I want. More flexibility in yeah, it is very broad, but flexibility in designing. I don't know how to describe it more in a descriptive format, but I need more flexibility of, let's say I had a 3 box and then I want to move it, and yeah, I'm already spoiled by other vendors. It's like, okay, I just want to drag and drop. Yeah, without calling Kevin. Hey, Kevin, I need this 2 boxes to be swapped away. Yeah. So
Okay.
we have a lot of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to add anything?
Just didn't know if someone on the web was
Laura, I would like to add some.
Sure.
Yeah, I would like to add something, but I need to take a phone call for a minute, so I'll be right back. So
No
sorry
problem.
for that.
No problem. Did you have anything?
I did. I was going to just add to, I mean, I think from conversations yesterday that obviously aren't recorded, what one of my technical ask, I guess, or I'd like to see within in the portal are, but I guess if we're thinking really pie in the sky kind of things, is I'm actually going to steal an idea from my colleague here. He's had this for a long time, is, the simplicity of Google, right? You go to a web page, there's a single box, and you can ask a question or put in a statement, and by Google's magic and their indexing, they somehow can percolate up, what are most likely those resources for that information, right? And we may be a little bit behind the curve here, but you can imagine a future portal that is as simplistic, also driven and powered by some sort of AI behind the scenes. So I don't think the AI has to be part and parcel to the portal, but it needs the hooks to attach into something like a ChatGPT or into some other, whatever third-party AI system is. And it's a 3-point element, right? Simplicity by the simple search box, driven by these more modern AI components, and then actually takes the next step further, which is it handles the workflow. So I think I also mentioned this yesterday, is like students want to get things done or advisors want to get things done. So let's say, take an example, trying to give you a hardcore example here, like, I don't know, registration seems like it's very obvious, but I'm sure there's plenty of these, how do I register for a course? Well, today we might send them to some static website with content, right? In the near future, you might say, well, you go to this website, here's the step-by-step documentation, and oh, by the way, these are your courses you've registered before, right?
Mhm.
But really, you want to kind of handhold them and guide them, and they choose how little or how much of that guidance they want. So I could imagine a world that says, I'd like to register for the fall, right? And it knows who they are, right? It knows how to do the registration. It knows that that particular school is PeopleSoft or Banner, so it can hook into those registration APIs. Again, none of that has to be part of the portal, but the portal now becomes the bridge between the user and those backend interfaces, but through the simplest state. So if I say, how do I would like to register for the fall, it says, oh, I can help you with that, right? Registration is currently open. You have a time ticket. What courses would you like? They should ask the question, right? And the student can now say, I'd like to take Chem 101 and Math 102 or whatever. And they could come back and say, oh, I'm sorry, all the Math 102s are full, but here's our courses that are equivalent for your degree plan. I'm generally talking pie in the sky, but in terms of baby steps, I think starting to get a really, you can call it a bot, you can call it a search window, call it what you want, but a little more coupled with that AI and the backend systems and the fact that we know who they are and we have their data. I mean, if we could bridge all of that, that would be phenomenal. That's the high, really, really pie in the sky dreaming. Right?
Yeah. But hey, you never know.
Never know. And maybe something a little more down to earth and a little more realistic. I do think a lot of our students they're not necessarily a community campus, but they are very mobile. They're walking between campus buildings. It's a large campus.
Yep.
Most people, almost everyone has a phone, and that's still their primary first go-to. It would be nice to have a portal that can transition a little more seamlessly between the desktop and the mobile version. So some sort of a toolkit or something that allows for, I guess, kind of what you were suggesting, that you wanted more control or ease of managing things. It kind of fits into that. How can we more easily say, this is the view for a large desktop. This is a view for an iPad or a tablet. This is a view for a phone, even maybe down to a watch, right? And how does the portal know to map based on those resolutions and switch between them and make it, the context is important, what you offer. Right? That might be a little more down to earth and realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's already support in there. I don't think people, but I doubt anybody knows, other than a handful of original developers. There's support, but it's minimal. That's baby steps. Different icons for mobile view versus desktop view. Also, there's some support for styling, where you can change the width of the screen, which is usually how CSS detects whether you're on mobile, iPad, or desktop. There's a lot of those things, but again, it's using the portlet technology where developers can do whatever they want, and most of them don't develop for with the information. I don't even know that they get it directly. They just have to write their JSPs and front end code so that it does accommodate for that. So that there's a couple of little pieces in there, but there's still some ways to go. And I think this is another really good reason to go from generic world that are, portlets or other technology is very distinct and abstract to, we're making a student portal and we're going to build in a bunch of APIs. And we're going to make a bunch of opinions of how we want to do that, so we can move the ball much further.
Okay. Andre, are you there?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, so I feel like strategies are defined or should be defined by those focus areas. I know that our students, they want yes, convenience. Just go somewhere, type a search item in the box and see 5 relevant results, or find things relatively fast. They want simplicity. Now, kind of, again, I know by my own kids, they don't like to see a lot of words on a page. Like, they don't want to read too much. All those notes, fine print, everything. They want to see an icon. Icon has a description. Okay, my registration info. Cool, good. Click on it and then go to whenever you need to go. So And another let's say focus area, or at least it's issue on our campuses. And again, maybe my CCP has the same thing, but the, I mean, they kind of complain of too many passwords, even though, I mean, we addressed, I mean, a lot of things are addressed with single sign-on, but still we have like our umbrella university with its own PeopleSoft. Then we have on-campus uPortal, and then we have different account for, if you want to use Wi-Fi on campus or something else on campus. So that's also an issue for students. They get confused all the way. So uPortal can help address many of those things kind of a lot. About passwords, there is such a, uPortal is deployed with CAS. CAS has delegated authentication. So it's kind of, it can be addressed if, using up-to-date versions of everything. And about convenience and simplicity, again, I'm talking as kind of from IT perspective, not from global perspective, but in IT, we've been burned many times over and over by trying to do kind of a good thing and trying to step in and trying to be responsible or maintain the content. When no other offices or like few external offices who should be doing that, they really have resources or something. So there should be, I feel there should be clear separation, and uPortal should act as a kind of gatekeeper. Kind of it has very nice framework of identifying like who are you and what can you do based on your roles, based on attributes, based on everything. And from what I envision, going forward, at least for our campuses in CUNY, it should be for UI, a lot of icons, a lot of like one-to-word descriptions for those icons. Again, behind those icons can be metadata with hundreds of tags and keywords so that it's searchable, but that's, on the admin side. And most of those, I feel they would just point to, some content hosted somewhere where someone else is responsible for it. Single sign-on to external services, to cloud provider, cloud services, vendors, or other campus services. Redirects to, again, we all know that our like main websites of many campuses, they just bloated. They start with something very nice and small, aimed at kind of external audience, being a marketing website, and then over the years it grows into monster with all sorts of information. And uPortal can, again, based on your role, who are you, advisor, student, faculty, it can, have a task, tab task for the specific item, and just, direct for a bunch of icons, web components, now wonderful technology, pointing users to the specific places. And so the simpler the better, but again, uPortal by itself is very a great framework to customize service, to keep, to kind of show or engage you with your personal information. And we are trying to find a niche that's not covered by main student information system. There are a lot of great areas or processes that are not covered. We try to show some simplistic view of your information. What if you go to main information system, PeopleSoft, you would have to click like maybe 5 screens to get something that in uPortal you can see on one screen. Oh, okay, you click a button in uPortal and go somewhere else. So that's what I feel might be the priorities for our campus going forward, to make things simplistic with a better search option. Again, more IT efforts into describing every service in the backend, what it is and what it can do for you.
Okay. Cool. Wayne, do you have anything to add?
No, nothing comes to mind.
Okay, great. Well, so we're at time, but if there's anything else anybody wants to talk about regarding student engagement? Any other questions?
Again, let me just add that being in this higher education for many years, 20 years ago it was easy. Email was the only way how to engage the students, right? And they would respond with everything. And now I mean, it's so spread out that it's not even funny. It's um, students again is use what Snapchat, Instagram, Discord, all sorts of things. And again, on our campus, some offices they're trying to be proactive and let's say they reach out and saying, oh, how can we kind of communicate? We know there is this Discord group of students, Discord group that covers 2,000 of our students. How do we announce something to it? But then there's opposite voice. Oh, but if you announce something to those 2,000 students, wouldn't be a problem that you're kind of ignoring the remaining whatever 10 plus thousand. So it's cat cat and the mouse game. There are too many emerging technologies, and again, kids are great using technology when it comes to chilling entertainment, but as it was like pointed out numerous ways when it comes to their academics, all of a sudden they become lost, especially freshmen who for whom the college is the first year. That's really a problem. So I know student engagement it's issue way wider than uPortal, and but again,
Yeah, I don't want to open up a can of worms, but do we need to add TikTok on here? Just kidding.
Yeah, and TikTok. So yeah, but now we have like literally 10 platforms how to engage the students, but the sad reality is they don't. I mean, yeah, I can provide several examples from Brooklyn College how again we also commuter campus like all other campuses in City University of New York. And yeah, when you have a dorm and when you like residence campus, right, in universities might be different. In commuter campuses, it's really a big issue. And now with the like spread of technology, spread of the tools, I mean, you pick your poison how you want to engage your students. You do it too much, they stop listening to you altogether. You do it too little, then also, I mean, you're not probably reaching out to everyone. So it's a great topic to discuss, but yeah, it's opening can of worms.
Right.
I'm going to support on his idea a bit. Like I briefly said, our customer called a student, they continue to leave. After 5 years, they don't use the uPortal. So our customer model is different from Google or Microsoft or any other software vendor. And it is good because even if so here's the thing, our student, let's say they hate our portal system. I'm sorry, but they are stuck with it. Right? They don't have any other choice, like versus if I don't like Gmail, I could go to Hotmail. So I have multiple choices. And good thing is that after 5 years, after they graduate, they leave, and then hopefully they are not active participant of the our portal system. Okay, which means we yeah, not in everyday basis. So the key is that I realized working in a higher education industry for quite a bit, the key is we need to have a continual, this is not just a one-time thing, but we have to get the student engagement like every 2 years or every 3 years.
Mhm.
Student 20 years ago are very different from student now. And how they interact, and then the way they see about the education itself is very different. 20 years ago, it was kind of norm thing that, oh, I need a bachelor's degree. Right now, the rates are going down, especially after the COVID. They don't think they need a bachelor's degree or higher ed. So the trend is different, the way they think is different. So how do we catch up with that? It is just continual, like, every 3 years, okay, here goes usability test. Yeah, since I started my CPP, the design, it have changed about 3 times. And then I'm talking about the major revisions. So, and I'm like, okay, it's time to do it again. Time to do it again. Yep. So
Great.
Good.
Right.
So what I got from that is we need to add Instagram and Snapchat integrations into.
I thought
Yeah.
the Facebook was still the thing, and I'm like, nobody uses a Facebook anymore.
No. Oh, that's great. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And so we're going to take a little bit of a break, and then we'll start back with the next session. All right. Thank you.